from the Rutgers University. I'll use it to when I'm writing a sermon. I will never use the actual end product. It's something to think about, and oftentimes when I've done that, that's what scares me.
I was a little bit apprehensive of even about using it because there was so much being said about how it will basically eat you alive if you're not careful. And then I decided to talk to it and interview it, and it just spit out the answer so quickly. It was just stunning. So Marquez probably have many million subscribers who all rely on you for all things technical, and this is a moment we're having. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, look, I've been in the tech world a while, and a big part of being in this world is trying to figure out when this new thing is a big deal or not. I can say confidently it does feel like a big deal.
I think it's a really big deal.
Yeah. I want to show you what an AI-generated video 1 year ago looked like.
Okay.
And it's this.
No. How are we even supposed to know what is real and what isn't?
That's one of the biggest challenges right now. Just because there aren't really any rules to it. So anyone who makes tools like this kind of is coming up with their own rules on the fly. Oh, well, watermark to the corner. We're all adding metadata to the file, so someone downloads it.
How are we supposed to know where to look for a watermark?
It's a couple layers deep. So the point is there isn't really any good set of rules yet.
I know this has happened to you, it's happened to me, is to have people take an image of you and put words in your mouth and say, you're selling things you don't even know you're selling.
Is a voice generator.
Yeah.
Is it actually a real one right now that's trained on my last video?
Yes.
You can ask it to say whatever you want, and it will sound just like him. Is there anything you'd like it to say?
I'd like to say Peter Piper.
Let's see if we can generate speech. To the untrained ear, this sounds basically exactly like and even to the trained ear, it's pretty convincing. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers.
Oh my god.
So, in a matter of seconds, this tool is generating really high quality recording level
This is
fake
not bad.
voice.
This isn't good.
So that's what I mean.
I can say all of this is really fascinating, but it leaves me a little bit more concerned. You don't seem to be as concerned.
I'll say I've seen this story before. Cars in general went through this. Smartphones, of course, went through this. Computers went through this. The internet went through this. Where at their very formative years, they're really, really confusing and potentially amazing, but potentially horrible. And eventually, humans sort themselves out to lay the rules down in a way that we can actually trust that will be better than it is bad. So I've seen the story before, and I'm hoping it plays out the way it's played out before.
Thank you.
No problem.
Next, we have Tristan and Asa, who are here to talk about the incredible speed in which this is happening.
It's moving really fast. We had experience with another technology that was introduced a little bit recklessly, and that was social media. And we're here because we don't want that to happen again with AI.
What was your experience?
I made infinite scroll. You know, that thing where you scroll and the phone just keeps loading more? I invented it before social media, and I invented it to make people more efficient. And it's now used to waste over 500,000 human lifetimes every single month. Addiction, doom scrolling, polarization, these are all consequences. And what I learned the hard way is that my good intentions as an inventor just wasn't enough.
And AI is moving way faster and is way more powerful in its impact on society than social media.
I thought Marquez's example actually caused me to have an aha when he was talking about all technology has gone through a similar phase where people question whether or not it was good or bad. So you say what to that?
It took time. It took decades to go from the invention of the car to adding seatbelts and driver's licenses and speed limits.
Yes,
That's right.
We had to figure it out.
Yes.
So The problem with the AI is that we don't get that time.
So, explain to me why AI is now moving so fast.
In 2017, there was a huge breakthrough at Google, and researchers there discovered a way that AI could start to learn a kind of universal language, where it could speak the language of anything. And then suddenly, the same lines of code could learn the language of DNA, learn how to make drugs, learn the language of images, and could learn to do all those things that Marquez was showing. And so the rate of innovation went through the roof. And of course, once AI can do anything, people start to use it to do everything.
That's what's so confusing about AI, is it's going to give us all these benefits at the same time that it's undermining the foundations that we depend on. And you can't separate the promise from the peril. So I think instead of getting caught up in the question, is AI going to be good or is it going to be bad? It's about, is it happening at a pace that our society can respond appropriately?
But guys, it's here. That's why I started this program by saying it is here. So the argument isn't whether or not it's going to continue or whether the speed's going to continue, because it is already here.
And some of it's here, but even more powerful forms of AI are coming.
Yes.
OpenAI's stated goal is to be able to build systems of AI that are even smarter than humans, because there's trillions of dollars to be made on the other side. And so now is the time for us to say, what are the choices that we want to make about how this technology comes out?
What do you want to see happen now?
OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, they need to be held accountable for the harms that they will create so that they're all incentivized to pull back and go at the pace that they can help society be prepared and not be overwhelmed.
And who is holding them accountable?
We need laws.
We were scammed by AI. It was one of the scariest things I've ever been through. I received a phone call, and it was a local number, so I answered my phone. It was my daughter on the line. I mean, she was so upset, like she was crying, and she said, "Mama, I've been in a terrible accident, and I am so, so sorry." And a man gets on the phone, and he says, "Is this Chastity's mother? She interrupted a drug deal that I was doing, and I lost $900 because of her. So I want my $900 back, or I'm going to kill her." So I'm driving with 100 miles per hour down the interstate, and just as I got ready to get off the interstate, a text come in, and it was my daughter. And she says, "Mom, what is going on? I'm at the doctor's office."
My immediate reaction was, how the heck did they get my voice? How did they know I called my mom Mama?
I'll tell you what I learned. I will not ever take another phone call unless they're in my contact list.
FBI Director Christopher Wray is here, and we want to talk about threats from AI and other aspects of law and order. Do you remember the first time that someone showed you evidence of AI being used to commit a crime, and what was your reaction?
So it's funny you ask. I've been hearing about AI mining for a long time, even before I became FBI director. One of the first memories I have of dealing with it in this job was I was in a conference room, and a bunch of our folks got together to show me how AI enhanced deep fakes can be created. And they had created a video of me saying things I had never said before, would never say. And I was staring at this video of myself. I found it incredibly convincing, and it really made quite attention. And I kept thinking, wait, that's not me. I never said that. What is this, you know?
Yeah.
Right now, AI is most useful in taking what I would call JV criminals and making them arson. And that's a problem.
How so?
We had a case not that long ago with a child psychiatrist in North Carolina who took images that he was able to get online and then manipulate them using AI to make them into child pornography. One of the things that made this particular example so egregious and horrifying is that the child psychiatrist took photos from decades earlier, from the first day of school, school dance, that kind of thing, and essentially was able to manipulate those images to show them naked.
Wow.
There's so much out there now on social media and on the internet, well-intentioned things that people post about their lives, but in the wrong hands, enhanced by AI, people are.
So you said more and more types of crimes.
So that would be another one is something called sextortion, which we're seeing more and more often. Somebody posing as a peer targets a teenager, typically. More and more it's young boys. So you're a teenage boy, you get a reach out from someone who claims to be a friend of a friend. She sends compromising pictures of herself and invites you to send pictures back. Except it's not a girl. Those images are enhanced. And in fact, it's some guy behind a keyboard in Nigeria. And then once they have the images, they threaten to blackmail the kid and say, if you don't pay up, we're going to share these images, we'll ruin your life. Unfortunately, this has real consequences. There have been at least 20 teenagers who committed suicide in these situations. And it's just heartbreaking.
Do you think we have the laws or regulations in place now to keep Americans safe from all that's coming, all the AI things?
I would probably leave legislating to the legislators.
Yeah.
But what I will tell you from the FBI director's perspective is that this is a type of technology that we see manifesting itself in more and more situations, more and more types of crimes, more and more types of threats. And there's a degree to which overall all has to keep pace with the technology.
Does that frustrate you?
Sure. Yeah, sure. What I worry about is the day which is coming. It's not here yet, but it's coming faster than we would like, where those elite bad guys will find the AI sophisticated enough to take their game to the
And the elite bad guys are doing what?
So the elite bad guys are the ones, for example, conducting the most sophisticated cyber intrusions. To me, no country represents a broader, more severe, more comprehensive threat to American innovation, American ideas, to our economic security, and ultimately our national security than the Chinese government. China has a bigger hacking program already than that of every major nation combined, and has stolen more of Americans' personal and corporate data than every nation, big or small, combined. The scale of the threat is significant. If you took the FBI's program and just said, forget Russia, forget Iran, just do nothing but China, the Chinese government's hacking program, they would outnumber us 50-1.
Does that mean the race that we all feel that we're in now, the race to be first, to be better, is to our advantage?
I do think we need to win the race. I think we are ahead in the race. But I would also say that we shouldn't, in the course of trying to win the race, disregard the importance of building in safeguards and controls and that sort of thing to help protect abuse. So speed, yes. Recklessness, no.
We've got an election coming. Do you think this election cycle will be compromised by disinformation?
I fully expect to see disinformation by foreign adversaries. We are finding also often that something on social media that looks like Bill from Topeka or Mary from Dayton is actually, some Russian or Chinese intelligence officer on the outskirts of Beijing or Moscow.
What should we be on the lookout for?
All Americans should try to be more discerning consumers of information. It is incumbent on everyone in America to bring an intensified focus and caution to the use of AI and how AI can be used by bad guys against all of us, but not to panic. I don't think this is the time for panic.
making analogies of the Industrial Revolution. We found other places to specialize.
I have a robot in the pharmacy that fills drugs all day long for me. I did not like it when it first got there, but I couldn't imagine being without it.
I hope that AI will be able to change health care in a way that you can diagnose so that that information will go from the doctor to the patient.
I think that made me shift to nursing school because basically I'm always going to be needed. I'm trying to future-proof myself. Am I going to be successful? Question.
So Bill Gates, you've been on this tech rocket ship for quite some time. In the 70s and 80s, and even before, you were bringing us computers, and then in the 90s we had the internet. And now, I'm just wondering how you think this AI moment stacks up to where we've been, to where we are right now.
AI is going to have more impact than even the personal computer, the phone, the internet. You know, in fact, it builds on those things in this phenomenal way. But this is the biggest technical advance in my lifetime.
What does the world look like if we get the best of AI?
In 10 years, I'd say education and healthcare will have changed dramatically. So in medicine, there's the research part, the speed of scientific innovation across all diseases, even the neglect of ones like malaria and HIV, that will be accelerated. But perhaps even more profoundly, whenever you're confused about medical things. I mean, even in the US, your bill is confusing, your MRI report is confusing. That can be medicine too. You almost looking at the AI as a person sitting in, doing the transcript, suggesting the prescription, and then you have this whole section that's been transcribed. And so instead of the doctor facing that computer screen, they're engaging with you, and the software is making sure there's a really good transcript.
One of the things that's exciting to me is how this is going to impact kids and their personal learning.
Yeah, the dream that you can have a tutor who's always available to you and understands how to motivate you, what your level of knowledge is. This software should give us that. You know, when you're outside the classroom, that personal tutor is helping you out, encouraging you. And then your teacher, you know, talks to the personal tutor and says, okay, what's your advice about how I do things in the class the next day? They don't have to spend time grading homework. They'll just immediately know how that went.
Does this mean eventually don't have teachers and everybody just has their own AI teacher?
We're trying to help teachers, you know, that personal engagement, motivating the kid, meeting them where they are. You know, the AI really is a replacement for that. But the fact that as the teacher is saying, okay, what should we work on, is looking at your level, personalized notion, and we can see it's already working pretty well.
I talked to Sam Altman, and he was pretty direct about AI's impact on the workforce. A lot of jobs may go away. Do you agree? And how should we start preparing ourselves to navigate that?
Yeah, particularly as we get in this not 5 to 10 year time frame, but beyond that, for the AI, not only are they very good at kind of white collar things, but also the robotics, the embodiment is taking on blue collar type things, whether it's warehouse work, factory work, or even cleaning rooms, cooking, things like that.
And so that's not only just a threat to people's livelihoods, but, you know, people gain dignity and a sense of purpose and meaning from work.
That's right. We've organized our society around the fact that if you get a good education, if you get a unique set of skills, that you'll be rewarded for that. If we get 20 or 30% more productive, that's all to the good because there's so many unmet needs. But if you get, 300% more productive, in a way, that's really good because then we can make more stuff and we can have more leisure time. But the way that we organize it and maintain people's dignity will require a lot of engagement and, picking leaders who are attuned to taking that access and making sure it's very fair. People are not going to have to basically a good thing.
What are the jobs that you believe are going to be undisturbed? What skills are going to persist in this new world?
Yeah, that's very hard to make a prediction. I mean, there'll be aspects of creativity. There'll be aspects of appreciating people, social, the teacher really engaging that student individually. Even then, I can't guarantee that software will eventually get rid of that. But, for the next generation, the more human, more engaged you are with other people, that is a skill set that's in such short supply. Mental health, education, that we can never have enough of.
I mean, I know there's several concerns, but do you have now
significant fears of optimists? This is the first technology that is happening faster than even the insights expected. It's happening faster than humans, absolutely.
Do you think that your company, that Microsoft and other companies that are going to make a lot of money off of AI have an obligation to help us manage and navigate through this change?
Absolutely. The fact that there will have to be regulation, that the way we think about taxes will have to change quite a bit. If the companies are working with the government, then at least we can craft something that's not just profit driven.
But what did we miss with the internet and social media that we can use to apply now to this moment of AI?
Well, I would say, speaking for myself personally, and I think many others, that we're a bit naive.
Yeah, so standing up and using synthetic, completely fake without.
We thought the internet, the availability of information, would make us all a lot more factual. The fact that people would seek out kind of a niche of misinformation, we were a bit naive. And bringing those lessons of, let's get ahead of this. Let's get the politicians to be users and have a dialogue about maximizing the benefits while minimizing the negatives.
To me, what it means to be human is to be... Boy, that's a good question.
Humans, we have a soul. We went through different levels of life, from newborns, toddlers, children, teenagers.
Human in Arabic is insan, and it translates to two things. One is forgetfulness, and that's a quality that all of us share. And the second root word of it is uns, which is to be loved. Are we going to lose that aspect of humanity?
I think that as humans, there is nothing that brings us greater discomfort than lack of knowledge. And I think that AI, in many ways, comes out of that drive to know all the answers, to be in control.
As a religious person, one of the things that I reflect on is be careful about comfort, because too much comfort is actually going to make your life worse, not better, because it'll decrease your overall capacity.
What I do know is that I locate the divine in relationships between humans and the environment. To me, that's God and that's the divine, and that's something that technology can never stand in for and can never replace.
I am so delighted to be able to talk to Marilynne Robinson, one of America's greatest novelists, who writes of all the messiness and all the race of being human. So what do you make of this moment that we're in and these two words, artificial intelligence?
Well, it's certainly a departure from any sense of intelligence we have had up to this point. The mulling, cumulative, knowing and interpreting the world that has been called intelligence.
Because we've always thought of them as uniquely human traits.
Exactly. The impulse behind it seems to be to eliminate the human hand and the human eye in the making of the reality of the world. With the effect of concentrating power in the sense of the control of this strange fantasy within very few people's hands, and consolidating masses of capital and masses of natural resources devoted to this very dubious project. It's just a human impulse to escape from its humanity, which is something that happens over and over again historically. The impulse to say that there's nothing intrinsic about a human person that cannot, in theory, be replicated by something that frankly works cheaper, works faster. I don't know why it is, but it's part of our human lot to be uncomfortable with our humanity and to mechanize it, out of existence in some way. We're not enough in love with our own existence, and we're not enough in love with everyone else's existence, and I think that's very dangerous.
I think that's just so powerful. We're not enough in love with our own existence. But hasn't that been the nature of who we are as human beings? Always seeking the next, the more, the better, the other.
We generalize from the behavior of people who tend to dominate historical narrative and are very frightening people in many, many cases. Not the kind of people we would have wished to be making great decisions.
What is the thing that concerns you the most about AI?
I'm afraid that there will be so much investment of every kind into this project that it will have its consequences before it really deserves them. And so there will be all kinds of anticipating this insurgence of AI, and then it will turn out that it's a bad project, that it's more dangerous than it is valuable and so on. And so we will have a disrupted economy on one hand and an unusable technology on the other.
But it's also going to, no question about it, it's going to make life a lot easier for a lot of people. So what's wrong with that?
American schools ask for a lot of written work from students, and that's a very good thing. That's an autonomy-creating exercise. But what we don't do, we don't tell them that this is a discipline, like an athletic discipline, that they have undertaken to strengthen themselves, not just to bring themselves over some arbitrary line of sufficiency.
But it's the discipline of doing the work and the thinking process.
Exactly. And students say writing is difficult, which of course it is.
It is.
But difficulty is the point.
And so if you were in charge of this whole AI movement, what would you be doing, or what would you advise?
I would advise that it be used for, the kind of research that produces drugs and immunizations and so on. I would make a fantastic library.
Of course you would.
I would use it very, very judiciously to replace work that is drudgery without the arrogance of replacing the work of people who, who are of very great value, just because they are the substance of our ordinary interactions with the world.
But I also think about this as I'm growing older, and I think as you grow older, there's always the risk of trying to hold on to what was. And when we think about it, there are currently now children who are born and who will be born who will know nothing but this generation of AI. So there will be no looking back, no lamenting what used to be or the way it was. And that's always been the case. But I get the sense that you somehow feel that this moment is different than others in past generations. Why?
Well, the thing that occurs to me compared with it is the Manhattan Project that was carried on among very few people in deep secrecy. These things are talked about afterward as if they're collective decisions, but they're not. They're scientific thresholds that are crossed only by people who know exactly what they are doing with it as a consequence. And there's no going back from nuclear fission, but that doesn't mean we should put ourselves in the same kind of position again.
special thank you to everyone who spoke with us tonight. I hope that they have left you with a clearer picture of what is coming. Artificial intelligence is still beyond our control and to a great extent our understanding, but it is here. We're going to be living with technology that can be our ally as well as our rival. It is something no other generation has ever experienced. This moment requires a different level of alertness, awareness about who we are and where we're going, what's real and what's not, what's artificial intelligence and what is human wisdom, authentic intelligence earned through study and experience. We are this planet's most adaptable creatures. We will adapt again, but keep your eyes on what's real. The stakes for all of us could not be higher.
What's the difference between the walls?
Hello
在店有没有？
啊？
我们在店有没有？
我刚刚泊车还没有走过去，干嘛？
啊，我他们说要吃 KFC，我去买 KFC。
等下先。
准备买封闭。
OK， 等下先。到了我 message 你。
你的封闭几杯？
到了我 message 你，我还没有到店，我停车而已，我在 car park。OK。
到了你 message 我。
OK， 好。